you know what, and I always say to parents as well when I visit, if I came to your house and you were always smiling, the house was always pristine, I always think, what's going on here?
Welcome to this episode of the Bump in the Road podcast. Bump in the Road is brought to you by Derbyshire Family Health Service, part of Derbyshire Community Services NHS Foundation Trust. Today, Jorden shares her story of becoming a mum for the first time. She talks about how her experience contributed to her wanting to become a health visitor and the ways it shaped her as a health visitor. Please be warned that this podcast may cover sensitive topics. If you feel like you need our support, contact details are listed at the end.
I'd wanted to be pregnant for a long time, and I was so excited and happy when I found out. A little bit overwhelmed because it happened sooner than we'd expected, actually, in the sense of time of planning, and was halfway through renovating our house. Everything was a bit upside down. So I was happy, but it was like mixed emotions, as it is when you find out. And as the pregnancy kind of continued through, I was okay, very sick, but apart from that, I was okay. And then I think it was probably week 16, 17 of my pregnancy, we actually went into lockdown for COVID, which I think at that point was where I found things difficult, in the sense of, so I was working as a nurse at the time, and I was basically told I had to stay at home, which I think a lot of pregnant mums would be, ooh, yay, I get to go off early and, I can stay at home and do my own thing. But actually, for me, that wasn't good. I was still working from home, doing something that I wouldn't typically do as part of my normal role. So that in itself was a bit challenging for me. And just sitting at home all day alone with my partner kind of in and out for work for his own job was quite lonely. And I do feel kind of that really impacted the start of that, mum to be experience. It took away a lot of kind of excitement in the sense of I couldn't have things like a baby shower, which some people, think that doesn't matter. But to me, I was really excited. It was my first baby. It was something I really wanted. So COVID definitely had a massive impact on my pregnancy, and I did feel quite lonely. People did kind of text me and FaceTime me and things like that, which was really lovely to offer me some support. And when we could go out for walks and things like that, I found that really helped me as well. Just trying to get out of the house, even if it was for half an hour. You feel a bit rubbish. Fresh air always helps. Well, I found it did anyway. But yeah, so that's pretty much my pregnancy really, and how it went. Started lovely, but it just kind of started to go a bit downhill when COVID decided to make an appearance. I was also stuck in the house. It just got so kind of repetitive, so it was difficult to find things that made me feel happy and excited. I did get kind of organised for baby's arrival quite early, which then made the pregnancy feel like it was dragging. And I did work up until I think I was probably 39 weeks or something. So I literally had although I was at home, I only had like a week off before he arrived, really. So I'd kind of got everything ready. So I was just waiting for him to come, and I was just a bit fed up, really. But yeah, definitely getting out when I could did help. And we had a really hot summer that year, so that was nice because we could just sit in the garden, and sometimes I'd sit in the garden and work on my laptop and things. So that did help. Having a newborn, obviously, I'd already had the feelings of kind of a bit feeling overwhelmed before he arrived. The experience in hospital was very good, considering, the COVID measures and things that were in place. But I did feel like I had a good experience, which was lovely. I think when I first had him, I was that overwhelmed of becoming a mum. I was so happy and excited, but looking back, I felt a bit guilty in the sense of that feeling that every mum tells you that you get when baby's placed on your chest for the first time. I didn't experience that myself. And that was something that kind of really ate me up as the weeks went on. And I just kept thinking, why didn't I feel this way that everybody was talking about? It's not that I don't love him or I don't care about him, because obviously, when he was crying or needed feeding and things like that, I did meet his needs. But I just kept thinking, why did I not feel this overwhelming sense of look? I just was kind of like, what do I do? I'm overwhelmed. I feel scared. Is he mine? I was just kind of a bit all over the place in the sense of my emotions, which, looking back now, I know that's very, very normal. But at the time, I kind of felt really guilty about it. And I think it actually ate me up that much that sometimes he'd be crying at home and I'd be like asking my partner to pick him up because I felt I'd done something wrong because I didn't have this overwhelming feeling of love. And I think as well, the lesson it taught me is kind of just be kind to yourself really as a new mum, and don't have these big expectations of feelings that you might have. And then it's nice to hear other people's thoughts and feelings around how they felt when they had a baby, but everybody is so different, and it's easy to get caught in that kind of comparing and the expectations, like I said. But it's just about being kind and just knowing that everyone's journey is different, and kind of just taking every day as it comes really. And the tiredness obviously doesn't doesn't help with kind of how your mood's very up and down. The lack of sleep, no one prepares you for that, which again, that was something I found very difficult. I did find getting out helped, which, like I said, during my pregnancy, that was also something that helped me. So every day, even if my little boy was still in his kind of bodysuit from the bedtime and I was in comfies, I'd literally force myself to get out. Don't get me wrong, as motherhood continued and my mental health deteriorated a little bit, I did find that difficult some days to do that. But I did kind of notice, looking back, that the times that I did force myself to do that, even just for 10, 20, 30 minutes, it did make such a difference and a positive impact on my mood, my relationship with my partner as well, and my relationship with my son as well. It all definitely helped me. So obviously after having little one, it's not always easy and it's not always plain sailing. So close family and friends checking in, that really was really helpful and useful. And little things as well, like my mother-in-law would bring food round for us, or text and say, do you want anything to eat? Or just little things like that. And I think it's the small things that really matter. Some people think, the showers of flowers and presents is the best thing ever since when you have a baby. But actually, to me, the offers of support, the kind messages, the understanding, and the food parcels, just to help make you feel better, really, in a way you can alert. And somebody having that kind of support in the sense of, if you've got someone close to you that can come over and give you half an hour whilst you go and have a shower, wash your hair, have a bath, then that's amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, because it was COVID, it was very up and down in the sense of that support. So I felt like that was challenging at times, because sometimes I'd have a bit of support from like fans, family and friends, and then it'd be the COVID rules will come back in. So then I didn't see anyone for a while. So I did find that quite difficult to adjust to. And I do think that really contributed to my feelings of kind of low mood and anxiety, because I felt like I didn't really know where I stood with it. And I was quite strict with the rules that were in place at the time. I know some people would still see in family, which, I don't blame them at all, because your mental health's so important. But I was very much like, no, I'm sticking to the rules, and it did make me quite lonely at times. But yeah, the little things from family and friends definitely did help, and help put that smile on my face when I really needed it. That time frame of kind of 6 to 8 weeks onwards was very up and down for me. There was times where I absolutely loved it. We was doing new things every day, smiling, giggling, learning to like make noises and babble, move around, and I absolutely loved watching him grow and develop and turn into his own little personality. He's so happy and cheeky, I couldn't wish for anything more. But then equally alongside that comes, the growth spurts, the crying, the longer periods of crying, the fact that he wasn't a brilliant sleeper despite us putting a routine in place from early age. And I found that difficult. My partner worked nights as well. Well, he worked different shifts, but nights quite a lot. And I found that difficult, being alone at night time with my son, because obviously then the following day my partner would need to sleep because he'd been at work. So then I felt like I was on my own for quite a long time. So although, all these lovely things were happening with his growth and development, I did feel sometimes that the low mood and the anxiety was getting a bit on top of me, because I did feel, again, quite alone. Despite having some really good friends and really good family, I still did have those feelings. It wasn't until my little boy was probably kind of around 9-10 months old that I had support from a health professional with my emotional well-being, and that's because it was picked up on my little boy's development review with the health visitor, and she was amazing. There was times before that it had been touched on, around his 6 to 8 week check, but I don't know if it was COVID related, but I do feel I didn't get that support probably as much as I should have. Or maybe I didn't reach out enough. I don't know, but all I know is, it got left quite a while, which I don't think helped the situation. That period was quite difficult for me, like that up until his first birthday. It was quite difficult, quite challenging. I had a lot of like intrusive thoughts and anxiety around things happening to me, things happening to him, people breaking in the house, really bizarre thoughts. And I was actually worried to speak up and admit about those thoughts. So even when I kind of said that I was struggling and felt low, at that point I still didn't disclose the thoughts that I was having, that people was going to break in my house and things and injure me and my son, the thought of falling down the stairs holding him, things like that, quite extreme thoughts. I was so scared to reach out and tell anybody. And at the time I wasn't a health visitor, so I didn't know really what support was out there. I just kept thinking, if I tell anybody that I'm having these thoughts, they'll think I'm crazy and they'll take my son away from me. So I did keep it held in for quite a long time, even from my partner actually. I told him that I was feeling low and anxious, but I didn't really delve into those feelings that I was having, purely because I was scared about what people would think. I did have some CBT therapy and some counselling, which, at that time it was useful in some ways, but not others. I think I just had so much going on in my head that I feel like with CBT and counselling, you need to be at a place in your life where you're ready to talk, ready to open up, and ready to kind of engage with services. Because if you're not, and you're not going to give it that kind of 100%, that it's not always going to be effective. So I feel like maybe it was the wrong time, but equally the services were good in the sense of, if you'd had a baby recently or were pregnant, that they could help see you sooner and offer more support. So I know that there were services there. I just felt like I wasn't ready to talk. I did open up to a couple of my friends, one in particular who had a son at the same time. Initially that was hard because I used to obviously compare kind of motherhood journeys and see how well she was doing, and it was difficult at times. But I think out of everyone, she was one of the most supportive people for me. And I think actually speaking up to mums and kind of even getting that real validation, yeah, she may not have had those same thoughts and feelings as me, but she understood why I might feel like that, with the sleep deprivation and the loneliness and COVID and things like that. And she was an amazing support to me. We'd meet up every day for walks, walk miles actually with our boys, have a little picnic on the way, and that really, really helped me. And I think throughout the whole, like I said, pregnancy, having my little one up until he was 1, up until I went back to work, those daily walks and that fresh air, just getting out, that really did help me more than anything, really. So after having my little boy, when he was around, I can't remember how old he was. I think he was around 10 months old when I went back to work. So I went back to my previous job working as a nurse with adults with additional needs, so learning disabilities, mental health. And I was working with a family in particular, supporting them with a new baby and kind of supporting mum's additional needs with that. And that alongside my experiences of the contact I had with health visitors, my experience of being a first-time mum really kind of made me think, oh, actually, I'd love to do that job. I'd love to help mums that are struggling in the sense of, whether that's just becoming a new mum, and understanding what being a new mum is. So they might not even have mental health problems or additional needs, but that whole kind of becoming a mum, and supporting those that do need the extra help as well. It was just something I was really passionate about after my own kind of journey. And actually, when I did start my health visiting training, I was still struggling myself, and somehow I managed to get through the training. I think maybe it just gave me something to work towards, something that I was really passionate about. And I do sometimes think, how on earth did I do that with a 1-year-old? Because it just turned one. But I do think kind of putting myself back into education, that helped me as well. I mean, I know it doesn't help everybody, but that was something that helped me, gave me a focus, helped me like escape those horrible thoughts. So I decided I wanted to kind of make a difference and help empower new mums and help them feel heard and listened to and understood. I think there were times, and the same now working as a health visitor, there are times, and I'd say on a weekly basis actually, that trigger my own thoughts, in the sense of things I experienced as a mum, as a new mum, the thoughts, the feelings I experienced, things I may have experienced as a child myself. And it does make me kind of think into that sometimes. But I've got, good supportive colleagues, and friends and family that I can talk to about that. It's all part of the job, I suppose. But I think when you've obviously done the course, you look into things a bit more and you understand why people might act a certain way, whether that's their own childhood experiences that have played part. And I think it helps you to understand things a bit more. And I think for me, I do feel really passionate in supporting in mums, especially because they might look like they're doing well, and it might not be till later down the line that they actually feel they need support. And by that point, because they have, kind of got on with it, they feel like it's too late to ask. So I think it's just being mindful of that as well. And it's not even kind of, they might be struggling with severe mental health. It could just be some low mood or anxiety, but something that really impacts them and their daily life, whether that's stop them being able to go to the gym, stop them seeing their friends, stop them going out because they're worried about feeding in public, worried about safe sleep. That's quite a common one, but I feel like that because they're all similar worries I experienced as a mum, I do feel like I'm able to offer that support in kind of, obviously still in a professional way, but knowing in my head that how their mums may be feeling at that time as well. Take every day as it comes. Don't compare your journey to everyone else's, and that includes social media, because I think sometimes that is not always a good thing. And just being kind of, like I said, just be kind to yourself really. And you might have rubbish days, and that's absolutely fine. You know what? And I always say to parents as well when I visit, if I came to your house and you were always smiling, the house was always pristine, I always think, what's going on here? Surely they've got to have a bit of sleep deprivation, or so be kind to yourself. Don't feel like you've got to keep on top of the household chores. As long as baby's happy, safe, well looked after and loved, that's the main thing. If you want a pajama day, that's fine. If you want to have a takeaway, that's fine as well. Just be kind to yourself. And I think don't feel judged by others as well. There are a lot of kind of opinions that come along when you become a mom or a dad for the first time, whether that's that someone's done it a certain way and someone's done this and it's worked. Every baby's different, and it's just remembering your baby best. You're the one that see them and spend the whole kind of 24 hours life with them, and just go with what they need really, and what makes them happy and makes them feel safe and loved. So yeah, them best, so just don't compare to others. I hope that listening to my journey of kind of being a mom and a healthcare professional has really helped people understand that it's normal to experience kind of mental health problems after having a baby, or just in day-to-day life really, and just speak out if you need support. Don't feel ashamed of how you might be feeling.
If you're struggling with your well-being during pregnancy or with your baby and you feel like you need some support, you can contact Derbyshire Family Health Service on 01246 515100 and make an appointment with a health visitor. You can also text us on 07507 327769. This is a confidential text messaging service for parents-to-be and parents and carers of 0 to 5-year-olds, providing advice and support from one of our healthcare professionals from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m, excluding bank holidays. You can also visit our website at derbyshirefamilyhealthservice.nhs.uk.